Hey there guys, this is RhinoDoc coming to you from Bearfly Trading Company, and we're over at one of our friends' house today learning about reloading, and right now we have a couple of the guys working on the system here. We're using the RCBS systems here, and we got, here you go, take a look.
Alright, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right there, Big Jim. So, how long have you been reloading for?
Oh, about probably 6 years, 7 years now. Okay, what we're going to do now is move over here to the press, the reloading press. And today we're loading the 185 grain 45 ACP jacketed hollow point. Now, since this is set up for, I believe, the 230 grain round, we need to make sure what depth we're going to set the plunger here for, so it'll seat it correctly. So we got to loosen this up just a tad. And if they want to argue with me, then you bring out the big guns, so to speak. And it wants to argue with me, all right.
It's hot out here today, huh?
Yes, it is. Now, what this is going to do for us is that when we take our already primed and powder charged shell casing, we're going to put it in here. Then we're going to take the bullet projectile itself and put it right here. Now, what this is going to do is set our depth of how far in the bullet itself is going to be seated into the shell casing. It's real important that you get your what's called a COL, your cartridge overall length, correct. If it's not correct, especially on an auto loading, auto feeding handgun like the 45 ACP or 9mm, it won't feed right, it won't chamber right, it won't do anything correctly. So here is where you make your adjustments and your mistakes, so you don't have a wasted day at the range like I had on more than one occasion when I first started doing this. So while we're doing that, we're gonna check. We're gonna check how our cartridge overall length is, and then set the die accordingly. Now, one thing you always want to do is go to the book. If you don't have it off the top of your head, you always want to make sure of what you're doing, so you don't be that guy on the range. Cartridge overall length as tested with this round, and bullet weight grains and all that good stuff, is 1.2 inches. So we want to make sure this reads no more than 1.2 when we're done. So if we can get it somewhere around in there, 119, no more than 1.200. That's what we want. So we're going to run this up, and we're going to check. .1287. So we give it about a quarter of a turn, run it back through. And we do that until we get a desired COL, cartridge overall length. 1275. Another quarter turn. 1244, still too much.
So your first round is kind of...
Yeah, this is the one where you set everything up. This is, you do all your work now, hopefully on just your first round. That way, everything else should just be able to be like, manufacturing.
And do you use that round, or do you discard that round?
As long as it sets right. As long as I get everything right on the measurements for the round itself, there's no reason why you shouldn't use it.
Now, what if you get if you like sink it in too far?
Well, if you sink it in too far, see now that's 11.185. You can use this, but that would probably be considered in too far. If you're talking about, what you're talking about here is the overall length of the cartridge and what's going to work best for you or your particular application, whether it's a 45 ACP 1911 or the M&P 45 from Smith & Wesson, or you're talking about rifle rounds. It really just depends on well, a number of things, actually. You know, if the gun doesn't like something that's set that deep, then it won't function correctly. Other ones are so particular that it's got to be right on the numbers, or otherwise it just won't work right. Something like this, it's in a little bit deep, but I'd still give it a shot and see if it worked. If not, if you completely screw it up, it's handy to have this little green hammer right here. Well, we're going to say that this is totally screwed up, and I'll give you a demonstration on this. What you do, this is a bullet remover from the shell casing itself. So you just put it in here like this. Okay. Put it in here like that. Put this here. And then it's all set to be removed. All you do is you smack it, you know, firmly on a wood surface. I don't like using this because it could easily bust it.
Over here?
Yeah, right over there on the wood workbench.
And that would just slide to the bolt from the casing itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit it hard. Yeah, and there's your round.
So now you have to do the...
So what you have here now is you have the bullet itself that came out along with the powder. It's all contained herein, right? So what you do is you simply take that out. You still got your case that's primed. All you would need to do to reuse this shell casing is to rebell it and recharge it with powder. So I'll just put everything in here in an empty bullet case.
Okay.
I can reuse the powder, and I can probably not reuse that bullet because it got kind of chewed up. You might not want to try to reload that. I mean, you can, but it might not seat correctly.
It's not recommended.
Nah. They're cheap enough when you buy them in bulk that it's just best to move on to the next one.
So the little green hammer.
The little green hammer. That thing works beautiful. Okay. Now let's try it again. Again, you don't want to go in too deep, especially on the 45 auto. They're real particular about what they like to eat. $11.75, and I can't be any better than 1200. So you could conceivably use that, but I'm going to set it aside, reset the die, and try again. And honestly, it would probably even be better that instead of doing this with primed and charged rounds, you'd probably be better off setting them up on dry rounds with no primer in them, no powder, and then once you go to load these things up, you'd be set and good to go. $12.8. Yeah, you gotta get. I don't know. See that?
It's just a little hair, huh?
Yeah, what they call an RCH, a red cunt hair.
1.99. Wow.
Yeah, that's a thing of beauty. That's a keeper.
See it? There it is.
Yeah, that'll work.
We'll move this one over here to the finished complete round area, and we're good to go. All right.
Now, just to make sure we've got all these set up, here's the first one after we've got everything set. 175. See, now, I probably didn't have this thing set tight enough. But that is something that can likely be used.
All right, well, This is RhinoDoc signing out from Big Jim's house and learning how to do some reloads.